Guys, I'm really happy to welcome to the podcast Daniel Pipes. Dan is an historian. He's a former official in the U.S. Departments of State and the Defense Department. And he's been a professor. He's taught at the University of Chicago. He's taught at Harvard, U.S. Naval War College. And he also runs an organization called the Middle East Forum. Now, Dan wrote an article, I believe originally in a magazine called The National Interest, about a worldwide movement of Muslims converting to Christianity. An extremely, I think, fascinating topic. I wanted to have Dan come on and talk about it. Dan, welcome to the podcast. Of course, we know each other going back several years, and you were one of the experts and sources that I interviewed for my first film, 2016 Obama's America. I find this article extremely fascinating. So let me start by just asking you what kind of got you. I mean, here you are, you're a scholar, historian, a political scientist. What got you interested in this topic of Muslims, in a sense, leaving their faith and becoming Christians?
Well, thank you for the kind introduction, Dinesh. I'd always considered Muslims leaving Islam to be a marginal topic of no larger significance beyond the individuals involved. And then gradually over the past few years, I became aware that it's bigger than that. There's something going on. And there are really two aspects to it. One is Muslims becoming atheists, and the other is Muslims converting to other religions, mostly Christianity. And I now see this as a significant phenomenon, both for those involved and also a challenge to Islam, such as Islam has never faced.
Let's begin by talking about the historical reluctance that Muslims have had to leave Islam. You mentioned in your article the obvious factor that Islam is intolerant of defectors, that Islam, in a sense, makes it a apostasy to leave the faith. And that's because you're not just rejecting the beliefs of Islam, you're leaving the Islamic community, which is seen as a sort of form of treason. But I would add to that the fact that Islam is a faith, it seems that today still has some of the force of its original revelation. In other words, that you've got Muslims, or at least many of them, appear to be really true believers. And would you agree that these are the two factors, the hold of the religion and the intolerance toward people leaving, and second, the devoutness of so many Muslims that makes it a surprise when a Muslim does, you may say, escape the fold?
I'd agree. I think the former, the intolerance, goes back to the origins of Islam, which was a somewhat tribal religion. And so the Muslims were a tribe unto themselves. And therefore, to leave the Muslim tribe, as it were, was to defect and to become a traitor. And this sense of betrayal continues 14 centuries later, when it is far from being a tribal religion in any way anymore. But the most notorious example was in 1989, when the Ayatollah Khomeini invoked an edict against the author Salman Rushdie, saying that he was an apostate and had to be killed. This created a worldwide debate about Islam and apostasy and leaving Islam. That was dramatic. In most cases, it's not so dramatic. You mentioned your movie 2016 of Barack Obama. He is clearly the best known apostate from Islam to Christianity. In my mind, there is no doubt whatsoever that he was born and raised a Muslim. And in his 20s, in a somewhat murky circumstance, he left Islam and became a Christian. But he's by far not the only one. Another prominent example would be Menem, the president of Argentina, who likewise left Islam and became a Christian. And there are plenty of others around the world. But there are prominent ones, and they tend to do it quietly because it's just difficult.
You mentioned, Dan, the Muslims who, in a sense, not only leave Islam but leave all religion and become atheists. I can think, for example, of Ayaan Hirsi Ali, for example, who wrote the book Infidel, as someone who essentially said, I've had it not just with Islam, but I've had it with religion in general. And I'm assuming that for those guys, for many of those guys, Rushdie, another good example, they it's the push factor that has made them into atheists. In other words, they see things about Islam that are vicious, that are murderous. They see ISIS, they see Al-Qaeda, and they go, you know what? If this is the face of religion, I want nothing to do with it. Would you say that that is probably the strongest explanation for why you have Muslims who essentially have had it with religion altogether?
Right. There's a distinction between the Muslims who become atheists who are rejecting religion as such. It's a completely negative response. And those who become Christian, or for that matter, Buddhist or Jewish or Hindu, and they are rejecting only Islam, not religion as such. Most apostates who leave this religion entirely become atheists. A smaller number become members of another religious community, and in particular Christianity, where it's a mix of push and pull, where the attraction in particular of Jesus figures largely. It's not just negative, it's also positive.
Let's turn to that subject for a moment and go into it a little bit more. What struck me about your article is that you are mining a fairly wide range of sources, and you're also mining incidents that are occurring not in one particular place where you could say, well, this is due to Iran or this is due to Iraq. You've got incidents that are occurring in Indonesia, they're occurring in the Middle East, they're occurring in Africa, even in sub-Saharan Africa, not to mention Muslims who are in the West. And you describe the remarkable phenomenon of Muslims who see dreams and visions of Jesus. Say a word about that. How did you find out about that? And what do you make of it?
Well, you're right. There is a large literature. All I did in my brief articles to skim the tops of it. There's a vast literature. There are many, many ex-Muslims who describe their process out of Islam. Many moving ones. There are books, plenty of books in English on this subject, both in the West and in the Muslim majority countries. So it's not hard to find. It's just a matter of paying attention to it, saying, oh, this is a significant phenomenon. In terms of the figure of Jesus, it tends to be a somewhat dreamlike. He often appears to Muslims in dreams. He's often clad in white. It's not a specific thing. It's an apparition, and they're drawn to him. They want to learn more. They want to take the Bible seriously, as you probably know. In Islam, the Bible, Jewish Bible, Christian Bible, are seen as outdated books. Yes, they have truths in them, but they're outdated. The Quran came and replaced it. You don't need to look at the Bible. It's out of date. It's like looking at last year's catalog. It just has no importance anymore. But these Muslims who are attracted to Christianity say, oh, maybe there's something in the Bible. Let me take a look at it. Maybe it's not outdated. And they go and listen, or they read, or they watch these things, and they are impressed. They see something that they're missing in their own religion.
Let's take a pause, Dan. When we come back, we're going to pick up on this theme of dreams and visions of Jesus, and also the broader message of Christianity that is drawing many Muslims away from Islam and toward Christianity. We'll be right back.